Hello and welcome. My name is Amy if you've never been here before, and if you've been here, welcome back. I am so glad to have you here with me. I am going to talk about intuition today. I have had two pretty cool moments in the last week or so that feel totally random, but have been such confirmations to me of what my intuition actually sounds like. Because no matter how much you focus on this, I think it is so easy to get distracted by the world and the things around you and to forget to tune in sometimes. And if you are just starting to connect to your intuition and understanding what that sounds like, what it is, how to know the difference between that and your mind, then hopefully you hear something in here that helps you too, because honestly, it can be tricky. It's like we've got our intuition that can also be called our higher selves. That's our soul. Whatever you want to see it as, whether they are all the exact same thing or they're all connected, they all come from the same place. And then you have your ego, your mind. That is not who you are. That is like a programming. And I was listening to a book this week and they talked about how, what if you considered seeing your ego mind as like a computer? It has all this programming. So often we identify with that part of us as who we actually are and don't realize that it's not who we are. It's like this system that's in place, and it's been put in place by what we have experienced growing up through our current lives. It's usually happening the way it is because we're not conscious of the fact that we are actually separate from it, and we are the ones in control of it. But it might not feel that good if you aren't aware that you can be in control of it, because it's just running on autopilot and it's very much influenced by the strongest influences around you. Understanding your ego will help you understand your intuition, because usually your ego is going to be very loud and come from a more of a place of like lack and scarcity and competition and things like that. Your intuition is quiet, it is gentle, it is observing, it is loving, it is balanced. It's not going to get into your face. It is not going to be super repetitive. It is that quiet little whisper, that tap, that little reminder you come back to or think, why am I thinking this? It's connected to your gut instinct. That feeling when you were like, I'm saying yes to this, but something in me is telling me I should say no, and I'm ignoring that. And then later you realize you shouldn't have ignored it. It is that part of you. That is your intuition. As you start to understand it more and hear it more, you can actually start leading from there more, because that is ultimately where you are going to start living your life from a place of alignment and connection, because your intuition always has your best interest at heart. Our programming will tell us that that's not the case, and will also just be much more focused on what is comfortable, what it has been used to. The more you can start to actually become the observer to your ego mind, you will be able to quiet that and reprogram it, and also do that from the place of your intuition. Sometimes when I think about my ego, I think about when I've regretted something. For me, my regrets have only come from when there was something in me that told me to or not to do something, and I didn't listen to it. And then I find out I should have. I should have done the thing, that quiet pull in me that was telling me the other thing. And most of the time, when I have that regret for what I've done or not done, it's because I've been influenced by the things outside of me. People, experiences, situations, fears, society, things like that. When I get quiet and I go inward, I am able to make decisions from that place of my intuition and from a place where I feel grounded and confident in that. And as much as our egoic mind is in us, technically, that's where we're hearing it from, it's generally looking outside of us for what it's supposed to do and how it's supposed to behave and act in decisions and things like that. Your intuition is never looking outside. It is always inward. Everything that is going to be best for you is going to come from that place. And sure, we learn through our experiences and exposure to other people, but ultimately, when we're making decisions and listening to guidance, the final piece of that always should be your intuition. I want to give you 2 cool examples that happened to me in the last week that just kind of made me laugh. So one of them was I bought a cleaning spray, Simple Green, so that I could clean my stair banisters for a specific project because I'm repainting it. Well, I went to find it after a few days of taking a little break from the project. I couldn't find it anywhere. And there's only like 2 places I keep my cleaning supplies. Could not find it, looked everywhere in my house, went to the basement, looked in my laundry area, wasn't there. And I'm walking up the stairs from the basement and I paused and I had this thought that told me, very quiet, hadn't thought about this before, told me, go and look in your art studio. I have this little art studio in the back of my basement where I go and I do a lot of my projects. Why the heck would the cleaning spray be in there? And I was like, even paused as I thought that, and I thought, this is kind of weird. I'm not gonna do it. And I took like another 2 steps up, and then I was like, no, let me see if this is my intuition telling me. So I go back downstairs and I open the door and it is sitting right there. And it reminded me that I had brought it down there for something I never bring it down there for and must have forgotten it, which I also never do. I always put things back where I get them. So that felt like such a cool moment to me because I think a lot of times we look for our intuition in these magical topics or spiritual topics or in things that just feel a little bit more exciting than cleaning spray. But that was a really great experience for me to just take that step back and recognize what that felt like for me, what that sounded like for me, because that intuition that told me to go look there is what I want to tune into more and more and more. Now, the other thing that happened the same week, 2 days before or after, I can't remember, I was at the grocery store getting Thanksgiving food. And so it was a little bit busy and crazy. And there was this one line that was open. There was one person scanning their groceries to check out. And I got this weird intuition as I was getting into line to not go in that line. Don't go in this line. And I did it anyway, consciously being like, I hear this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, what's the big deal? Why can't I just check out in this line? Well, I get up to the register and this very friendly man is checking me out, but I think that he was new and every vegetable I had fell out of the bag. He had his hands on everything and had to like rebag most of the items. It turned into such a mess and took so long. Not that that's a big deal. He was great and he really made my night, but it was that moment of recognizing that I could have had a much smoother and more sanitary experience at the checkout had I just listened to that. So it can honestly be these simple moments in our lives, but it is in those moments that we want to start recognizing that tiny little voice that we hear that tells us, do this or don't do that. Make this decision, not this decision. It is not just big decisions. It's not just about a vacation or buying a home or relationships. It is as simple as cleaning spray, grocery line checkouts. It is in those small, simple moments that you have the best opportunity to really start to learn and recognize that. I love when that happens to me, and I kind of think it's happening in moments like that, or I'm seeing it in moments like that more because I am not listening to anything. I am not talking to anybody else. I, in both situations, was on my own, almost in a meditative state while I was doing a home project and then also walking through the grocery store and just kind of present with the experience I was having. And that is why my intuition was able to get through to me. You will go through seasons when you feel totally connected to your intuition. And then there might be seasons where you feel very disconnected from it. Know that that's okay. Sometimes when we get upset about those things, we create more resistance to said thing we're frustrated with. I need to just sometimes say that's okay, this is just where I'm at and I'm not doing anything wrong. So whether you are just starting to tune into your intuition or you are in a season of it right now where you're much more focused on it again, I would love to hear any moments you have had like what I shared when you were able to connect to your own intuition. And just know that if you set the intention to be able to connect to it more, if you feel like you're not at all, being intentional like that is very powerful. I do believe that it is by quieting the loud part of my egoic mind through meditation, through being in nature, things like that, for me, through moving my body, doing yoga. It allows me to quiet my mind enough that I can actually hear my intuition more. And when I say hear, sometimes it's going to come through in other ways, and know that too. But it's almost like learning a new language for yourself of what that is for you and how it is communicating with you right now, and that will continue to evolve and grow. Being intentional with connecting to it more, you will start to connect to it more, and it's really exciting experience. So again, I would love to hear any experiences you've been having, and please let me know if you have any questions on this. I love this topic, and the more I talk about it with you, the more it helps me to understand and reconnect myself. If you got anything out of this, please consider subscribing, give me a like button below, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.